The big story that we are tracking at this hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi could meet US President Donald Trump next week on the sidelines of the G7 summit in France. If the talks materialize, remember, it would mark the first face-to-face meeting between the two leaders in more than a year, coming against the backdrop of renewed strategic engagement, trade negotiations and evolving geopolitical dynamics. The two leaders last met in February 2025. when PM Modi had travelled to the United States. The meeting will also be the first since the Pahalgam terror attack and the subsequent military tensions between New Delhi and Islamabad in May last year. India had launched Operation Sindoor, a counter-terrorism operation in response to the Pahalgam attack. While Trump publicly claimed credit for helping defuse the crisis, New Delhi has firmly rejected those assertions. At the same time, Trump's tariff policies and protectionist remarks have cast a shadow over the bilateral ties, prompting India to deepen its engagement with Europe. India and the European Union, meanwhile, have accelerated efforts to strengthen cooperation across sectors ranging from trade and technology to artificial intelligence. On Tuesday, India's Ministry of External Affairs announced Prime Minister Modi's upcoming European itinerary. The Prime Minister will visit France from the 13th of June till the 14th. He will travel to Slovakia from the 14th till the 16th of June and return to France from 16th of June to 19th for the G7 Outreach Summit in Evian and the bilateral engagements in Paris. In Nice, Prime Minister Modi will hold bilateral talks with French President Emmanuel Macron. Remember, the two leaders are expected to review the India-France Special Global Strategic Partnership and jointly inaugurate Bharat Innovates, an initiative showcasing startups and venture capital ecosystems from India, France and other countries as part of the India-France Year of Innovation. Next up, the Prime Minister's visit to Slovakia. It will be historic, marking the first trip by an Indian Prime Minister to the country since its independence in 1993. PM Modi is scheduled to meet the Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico and President Peter Pellegrini, with discussions expected to focus on trade, investment, automobiles and railway cooperation. And WION's assistant editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibbal, has sent us this report with more details. Take a listen.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in France next week and will be attending the G7 Outreach Summit. And it is expected that he's going to have bilateral meeting with the US President Donald Trump. Now, if this meeting happens, this will be the first such bilateral between the two leaders since February of last year, when the Indian Prime Minister had traveled to United States, to Washington, D.C. Now, on the table will be several issues, whether it is the trade conversations, whether it's the people-to-people relationship, whether it's the business ties, but essentially at a time when we have seen relationship having its own issues, particularly with tariffs being imposed on India and Donald Trump's insult. Will this meeting lead to convergences or perhaps toning down of rhetoric from the American side is the big focus. But essentially we know that there are convergences as well in terms of how both sides are working, especially when it comes to defense. And this meeting perhaps could lead to some announcements as well, particularly when it comes to ongoing trade conversations. Trade delegations from the two sides have went to each other's countries, respective countries. And the big focus is when will there be an announcement on trade deal. With video journalist Gopal Siddhant Sibbal for WION in New Delhi.